Hey, so I'm here at the post office and we're fixing to go in and check because I got a email saying that we had more pictures in the P.O. box. But I want to share a testimony with you guys before we go in and we check the mailbox. All right. Many of you saw that I posted that another beloved had returned, but I want to share this story of this beloved returning. All right. So early this morning, I get an email, and it is from a woman named Sarah that is asking me to call her. Well, I get many emails like that, and, people want me to call them and things. So I just politely responded to her and said, I'm sorry. I don't make personal phone calls to people. And she responded back and she said, no, Shauna, you don't understand. My daughter has returned. And I have to tell you what God did. So, of course, I immediately pick up the phone and I call her. And here is what she tells me. She tells me that her and her husband, they love the Lord. They've raised their children in church most of their lives. And, you could tell by the way she was telling about their lives that these wasn't people that just took their kids to church on Sundays. I truly believe that they live what they preach, what they believe. And so she tells me that her daughter, that is 17, almost 18, they start seeing a difference in her. And 6 months ago, they went to wake her up for school. And she wasn't there. She wasn't in her room. And so for 6 months, they've had no idea where their daughter is. And she says that they just begin to pray and they're so worried and they've got just grief and they're crying out to God and they're saying, God, show us where our daughter is. Show us that she's alive and that she's okay. And they had found out after, I guess, she left that she had connected with a boy and had a boyfriend that they didn't know about. And she had taken off with this boy. And so last week, or let me back up. I hope I'm not butchering this testimony. Sarah, if I am, I apologize, sweetie. So 2 months ago, they find me on YouTube and they see the wall. And they hear about us praying for prodigal children and spouses. And they said they knew immediately. They printed off a picture of Bailey and sent it in. I remember the letter and I remember it coming in. So, last week, the Lord leads them to Mark chapter 9, verse 29. Some of these only come out through prayer and fasting. Now, she tells the story of how they was watching Kentucky. They was watching the Revive conference and they were waiting. It took us a while to post my message because we didn't have internet. We had to record it. And so she says that they see it posted and she calls her husband and she says, hey, they've posted it. And he said, okay, I'm watching it with you. If you watch the Revive conference, you know that the message that was delivered was prayer and fasting. God was calling his people to pray and fast and saying, some of these don't come out but through prayer and fasting. She said, Shauna, but here's the thing. She said, me and my husband hadn't really fasted before. And she said, so we were fasting until the evening time and then having supper. And she said, you said something in that message. You said, you was describing fasting and you began to say what fasting really was. It was to shut your mouth, not consume food. It wasn't, no fasting from social media and things like that. That's not fasting. And she said, me and my husband instantly repented and said, God, we're sorry. We didn't understand what true fasting is. And they seen this on Tuesday and they said, we're going to fast until until God shows us where our daughter is and brings our daughter home. This was on Tuesday. The call came in last night, yesterday afternoon. Mama, they live in Colorado. Bailey was over 4 hours away from home, and they went and picked her up last night. Bailey is at home. She is safe with her parents, and they are rejoicing. This is how important prayer and fasting is. God gave us a promise when he called us to this wall. 1 Samuel 30, verse 8. All will be recovered, not some, all. But here's the key, guys. You've heard me say this before, but here is the key. This is what Sarah told me on the phone. She said, Shauna, when this happened, and the enemy came in and took our daughter like this, she said, our whole life stopped. She said, all we did was pray. It consumed our lives. Here's what I want to ask you. While you're standing for your beloveds, while you're standing for your prodigal children and your spouses, is prayer for them consuming your life? Or are you casually approaching prayer for them? Something to think about. We're fixing to go in here. We're fixing to get more pictures, and we're going to get them on the wall. And I want you to come and go with me for just a split second. And then I'm going to take you back to the prayer house, and we're going to put them on the wall together. Here we are in our little post office in Hurley, Mississippi. Here's our P.O. box. Oh my gosh, guys. I haven't got to check it because I've been gone out of town, as you can see. Quite a few in there. We're going to go back to the prayer house. We're going to get them on the wall. We're going to begin to pray for them. And we're going to watch God do what God does. God's bringing his children home through prayer and fasting. All right, we're back at the prayer house. It is raining in South Mississippi. I don't know if it's ever going to stop. And what we're going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to take the pictures. Turn the light on. I'm going to take the pictures that we received and I'm going to read the letters. I read all the letters that come in. I'm going to read the letters and then I'm going to write the names of the beloveds on the front of the picture. All right, and then we're going to take them to the board, to the wall together. We had 4 new pictures come in. I've put the 3 up. We're putting the last one up right here. And as you can see, this is a replacement of someone that has already come home. Well, I'm trying here to get it on. Why do I put the names of the beloveds? Because when we're standing here at the wall, declaring the word of God over them, we call out their names. We say, Jeremy, come back to God. We call out their names. So each one of them, as long as you send me their names, each one of them, we have their names. So tonight, the RTR meets, and we will be right here at the prayer wall, praying and declaring the word of God, and waiting until God brings them all home.